Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
Time for tonight's rewrite. President Obama is still facing a furious and uncomprehending reaction from the right after Attorney General Eric Holder announced the Justice Department would no longer defend the constitutionality of the Defense of Marriage Act in appeals courts. The president is also being repeatedly and falsely accused of refusing to enforce the law. The latest offender, Newt Gingrich.
He swore an oath on the Bible to become president, that he would uphold the Constitution and enforce the laws of the United States. He's not a one-person Supreme Court. The idea that we now have the rule of Obama instead of the rule of law should frighten everybody. I believe the House Republicans next week should pass a resolution instructing the president to enforce the law and to obey his own constitutional oath, which he took on taking office. His job is to enforce the rule of law. And for us to start replacing the rule of law with the rule of Obama is a very dangerous precedent.
Also joining in, of course, the always rewritable Glenn Beck.
Now he says that he is not going to enforce the law. He has made Congress irrelevant when it comes to the Defense of Marriage Act. He says, we're not even going to defend this anymore. Well, wait a minute. That's not even constitutional. Your Justice Department has to defend the law. That is the law. You don't like it, then change the law. But what he's saying is, we're not going to enforce that one anymore. You have the real diehard Christians also that are now saying, he's not really a friend of marriage.
Beck and Gingrich say the president isn't going to enforce the law, not going to enforce it. Now, these two constitutional scholars who forgot to go to law school are very, very wrong. The Obama administration has said very specifically that they will continue to enforce the law. The announcement from the Justice Department is very clear on speaking only to the part of the law at issue here, Section 3, stating the department will not defend the constitutionality of Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act as applied to same-sex married couples. Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act will continue to remain in effect unless Congress repeals it or there is a final judicial finding that strikes it down, and the executive branch will continue to enforce the law. So the law will be enforced until the courts or Congress take it off the books. But the Justice Department will no longer argue its constitutionality in appeals courts, something that the Justice Department has chosen to do many times in the past. To Beck's point that the president really isn't a friend of marriage, he could have something there. Barack Obama has only had the one marriage. Glenn Beck has had two. Newt Gingrich has had three. So how much of a friend of marriage can Barack Obama really be if he's only done the marriage thing once?